What's going on? DevilNeverCry here, and I'm back with some more DMC5 theories. So today in this video I just want to cover the so-called name theory that has sort of been gaining traction here and there on the internet, and it basically relates to the character V, who he is, who he might be, how he came to be, all that sort of stuff. But first, obviously, I'd like to give credit to JumpCancel and Auveum, both on the Reset Era forum, both members of the DMC Discord, who sort of went back and forth when creating the theory, but decided to fully make it public on Reset Era only a few days ago. So now that proper credit is given where it's due, I'd like to sort of dive in and give my own personal thoughts, as well as go over the basics of the supposed theory. So the theory basically gets most of its ground from the DMC3 manga, specifically from the second volume, which I believe covers things from Virgil's point of view. I will be displaying a few panels of the manga here and there in the video just to help with basically keeping track of the theory and how it is created. So it basically starts with Virgil and Arkham descending into the catacombs below the Temenigru Tower to essentially break the seals and open up a portal into the demon world. For those of you who don't know, this is the same tower we climb up in DMC3. It is at this point that Arkham then decides to sort of delve into the history of said tower. It is at this point that we get our first inkling of the whole name theory. So Arkham goes on to talk about how, recorded down at the base of the tower, there are a bunch of demons' names, and obviously they're crossed out, or etched out, however you want to say it. And Arkham basically hints that because the names have been taken from them, they are deemed to be powerless. Arkham basically emphasizes the taken part, implying that Sparda, when sealing them, had the power to literally just take their names. Now obviously this whole thing of names having power can be seen in a lot of science fiction, a lot of books out there, where this sort of thing is implemented. It's interesting, it's not the first time I've seen this, but it's cool to see something potentially like this make its way into DMC. And then in the next panel, we then get a little bit of background into essentially how demons came to be in the world of DMC, talking about the tower and essentially how the world was almost torn asunder and whatnot, and blah blah blah. You can read this in your own time. I mean, I'll have this up on the screen as well, but it's just interesting, considering Itsuno himself specifically stated, I believe in an interview, that in the DMC world only hell and earth exist, and there is no concept of heaven. Moving on to the next panel, it then focuses on Sparda, how he hammered a giant spike into the earth so that the heaven and earth would never be split again. Basically talking about how he sealed away Temenigru and the demon world, basically giving humanity a chance to live. But that's not the part we're interested in now. We're interested in the part below that. The manga then states, two demons, names are truth and of far more consequence than some corporal viscera. A demon's name is its power, and the very fabric, the mold of the demon itself. To take away its name is to render it powerless. Very, very interesting here, considering that their name, their given name, holds more power than their actual physical being. Again, we see Virgil sort of like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, how is this thing sort of possible? To have a being so powerful as to take away someone's very name and, just render them completely powerless is, it's crazy, right? But then again, it just goes to show the power that Sparda actually had. The ability to just take on the underworld himself and seal it all away. It sort of gives you an inkling into how powerful he was. Considering the games don't really dive into how powerful he was, they typically go the route of saying, he rose up, he fought everyone by himself, he had all this power, yada yada yada. But we never go into depth. But then we see that here in the actual manga itself. The legendary Dark Knight Sparda, a devil so powerful he had the ability to take away someone's name and cease their own existence. It's crazy. So that was just a little bit of backstory, blah blah blah, but then the next panel is when things actually start to get interesting, and where it ties into the whole DMC5 and who V is sort of thing. Again, I'll have the panel up on the screen, but it then goes on to say, there is a popular theory among some occult experts that demons use their names when entering into a contract. Considering names are what hold all sorts of power, they can then be used as a sort of bargaining tool. So now let's tie this all together. So we know that Dante defeats Virgil at the end of DMC3, who then falls into Mundus's control, who we then face as Nilo Angelo in DMC1. And then we then defeat him, mission 17 right near the end of the game. And then he is left without a body, for example. And you might say, well, we saw Virgil, or a corrupt Virgil, in the DMC5 trailer, so how does that work? Well, what if that Virgil that we saw was a corrupt and rogue body? Now we know how Virgil works. He's chivalrous, he's got a lot of honor, and even as Nilo Angelo when he was corrupt, he didn't resort to any sort of dirty tactics or tricks when facing Dante. So why would he then decide to sneak up on his own son and rip his arm off? Kind of backing up the potential theory of the body and soul being split from one another. So with Virgil's body going rogue and his soul just wandering about freely, what if he decided to enter into a contract with either a human or a demon? Now we know that Virgil is a son of Sparda and a demon, a very powerful demon at that. So what if he potentially gave his name or an initial from his name as a bargaining tool? His name most likely holds a lot of power, so even giving just an initial must provide a single individual with a lot of destructive force, which then ties into the whole who is V sort of thing. So that's the theory. V is either a human or a demon that Virgil entered into a contract with to retrieve or subdue his rogue body. Now he might not have trusted the individual, which is likely why he only gave an initial. He didn't give his full name, because that would just be him giving away all his power. Or maybe Virgil was rendered nameless when he was defeated. Maybe he doesn't have his whole name to give. Maybe the corrupt and rogue body holds most of it itself. Now, we obviously don't know. I'd just like to say that this is a theory. None of this is confirmed canon. I'm not saying that this is fucking law or whatever. This is just, what I've read and my own thoughts on it. Again, shout out to JumpCancel and Auveum. They're the ones that put this forth, and it's got a lot of people in the community thinking. It's got a lot of people, myself included, going back over all sorts of extracurricular DMC content, like the anime or even the art book and whatnot. It's interesting. It's something to think about. I believe it's Suno, or it might have been Matt Walker, have stated that there's more to come on the 20th of this month, aka June. So we haven't got long to wait until we get some more information. I'll leave a link down to all the images as well as the original forum below so you can have a look for yourself. This has been DevilNeverCry. Thank you for watching, and I guess I'll see you next vid.